I disagree with that, by the way. This country has a lot of potential and it's moving towards the right direction very, very quickly, right? How quickly? Well, the ADB, the IMF, the World Bank just reiterated that we're going to grow 6+% in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And that makes us the fastest growing country in ASEAN. So I just want to remind everyone of the Icon 2023 happening this Saturday in SM Aura. We've got 16 speakers, some of the best investor advisors you can ever get. And it's going to run from 9 till Sawa, I guess, basically on Saturday. Hope to see you there. The Pogo contractions are very big 2020, 2021, 2022, but that's coming off now. And you're seeing the Pogo sector go back up. The BPO sector did have some declines, but they're very, very small, very small. The traditional offices actually contracted also quite significantly, but this is across many companies, big and small.
Are you still bullish on REITs for the Philippines? What's your take on?
Yes. I love my top two picks are Ayala REIT and Robinson's REIT.
Okay.
I think super solid tenants, super solid portfolio, super solid, very consensus developers and landlords. So I think those two will be doing quite well.
Given condo prices now also, and then for retailers who are watching this that maybe want to buy their own unit, have it rented out, vis-a-vis spending the same amount of millions to buy that condo versus a REIT, yield-wise, what do you think would be more efficient also for them right now? And then I forgot to ask this, what could be like a baseline yield that people could get right now for a residential condo if they're just coming in right now?
Do I own property? Do I own REIT? Which one is better? And I guess the answer there is it's truly the most efficient way to own real estate is to own REIT stocks. That is the most efficient way. But it is incredibly boring. And so you buy a REIT. It gives you the same yield as real estate, 5, 6, 7% cash flow quarterly. Wala pang hassle. You don't have employees, you don't have people, you don't have to talk to plumbers and carpenters to fix problems, you don't have to call your neighbor about their noisy cat or dog, you don't have to tell your neighbor to tone down the volume on their party. I mean, simple, but it's incredibly boring and people just can't stand it like that. They like to get involved in their real estate, So I guess ultimately human nature dictates that we have a blend, a balance. So people who like property should own REIT stocks. And it's up to you whether you're prepared to take the risk for some of these REITs that are offering. I said, the vacancies are higher, the stock prices have fallen so much in some of these REIT stocks that the yields have come up.
Yeah.
Right? But how secure those yields at those prices, I don't know. So I do think that the two that I mentioned are the most resilient, and they will perform very well in the next upturn. And then I do think that residential condo yields were down to maybe 1%, 2%, 3% for condos. And pre-pandemic, they were at 7 to 9%. And they're making a quick recovery naman. So I guess by the end of this year or early next year, yields should be about 6 or 7%, going 7 to 9.
And I think what people need to realize when it comes to REITs also, the liquidity, that's a double-edged sword also, because the liquidity also could cause you to panic when it's down, as compared to having the property itself. Hindi ka magpapanik kung di mo mabibenta versus something that you saw that you just bought today, then it's down 5% a few days after also. And I think that's what people also need to factor in when they start weighing in both REITs and buying the property itself.
Yeah.
We're about the tail end of this entire talk. I want to ask something that probably a lot of people would not. It's not something discussed a lot and very interesting also. If you wouldn't invest in property in the Philippines, parang what are your top 3 cities that you would want to invest in from a property standpoint?
In the Philippines,
No, if you won't invest in the Philippines, you're gonna invest properties outside. Do you have top 3 cities in mind, not in the Philippines?
I would say New York.
Okay.
I would say San Francisco. I would say Hong Kong.
Okay.
Those three.
Primarily because they're more cosmopolitan and
Primarily because these are the most energetic cities in the world. Yes, Hong Kong is down. And that's precisely why, I mean, office rents in Hong Kong are down 70%. We have not seen this since 2001 to 2003. The rents are down 70%. Rents were climbing 20 years straight up until 2022. 20 years straight, it would be escalating every year in Hong Kong. And now it's down. It's great time to buy. Well, what's going to happen to all the educated Hong Kong and the British system and all? Well, that's going to go. But you know what? The spillover from China is so big that they're going to want to occupy Hong Kong again. San Francisco, because it is still the one city that has changed the most of people's lives for the better. The technology, the amount of people, the melting pot of talent from all over the world trying to find a place in San Francisco, right? And then New York, of course, you know, the global hub of finance, the number one finance hub in the world, New York, also attracting an unprecedented amount of talent and, you know, all very ambitious, talented, amazing people in New York. So those 3 cities.
got it.
But romantically, I'm so tied up to New Zealand, and Queenstown in particular is so beautiful. My God! And
total contrast though, totally laid back. No high buildings, very slow pace of life also.
yeah, and Niseko.
But one of the best places to live. I want to ask this. You mentioned amazing cities. Do you see a day that the Philippines would keep up and be at par with them from being as vibrant of a city as New York or Hong Kong as well, given that things are steering from an infrastructure standpoint, from a business standpoint, and a resiliency standpoint here? Would that day happen?
It is plausible, but unlikely.
Got it.
That is a really hard question to answer. I have to say, Martin, congratulations.
But I'm actually thinking, based on the tone of how things are, parang it feels that everything is doing well. We've seen how bad things are, but we've remained resilient. If bad things are going on in other parts of the world, businesses will move here, and then we now suddenly have the infrastructure to do it, and we have young people who can actually also spend. So it seems like over a course of time, there might be a narrative where it may feel that way. But I just wanted your thoughts. I just wanted your thoughts on it as well.
What also makes me say what I said about that is because I'm fully aware also of the problems of this country. And it's gonna take a long while. And frankly, the one thing we need in this country is to attract more foreign talent to propel this country forward. Yeah. But the Philippines is actually quite a very but we're very partial towards Western Caucasian people coming to the country. We're very specific and prejudiced in favor of Caucasian Westerners. Right?
What is that? Yeah.
Right? I mean, not just any Westerner, but Caucasian Westerners. And we don't like anyone else. Honestly, the Caucasian Westerner is sexy. No one else is sexy. Nobody else has the same panache as the Asian investor. And unfortunately, that blinds us to many things. I'll give an example. The absolute change in mindset. Uh, I talk to many people, many locals who say, this country is hopeless. This country is basically hopeless, right? I disagree with that, by the way. This country has a lot of potential and it's moving towards the right direction very, very quickly, right? How quickly? Well, the ADB, the IMF, the World Bank just reiterated that we're going to grow 6+% in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And that makes us the fastest growing country in ASEAN, by the way, and yet the mindset is, this country is hopeless. There's so many problems. I can't stand the politicians. I can't stand the election process between Duterte and President Marcos. Blah, 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 right? Hopeless. I'm leaving. But then I talk to mainland Chinese people who come from very small towns who land here with full excitement and enthusiasm. And they say, oh my God, this is the land of opportunity. Everything is possible in the Philippines. And they're so excited with the growth prospects of the Philippines. Not in the next quarter, next week, next month, next year, but the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And if you look at the Philippines, who really built the Philippines? Well, foreigners, And, one set of foreigners enslaved us. And yet, because we have Stockholm syndrome, we love it, right? And then we have the peaceful ones who just kept coming to the Philippines just to trade, and yet we don't like them. We don't find them sexy enough to kind of assimilate to them. So I think that's a mindset change. We have to be open to all, which is exactly why the US is so successful. Because it accepts people from all kinds of backgrounds, all walks of life, all kinds of mindsets, and say, you know what? I might not agree with you, but let's talk about why you think that way, and maybe you're right. Maybe I'll agree with you later. Of course, people are not talking like that now in the US, right? It's like, I shoot you first, you shoot me first, whatever, now. But magulo yung US ngayon. But what drove the US successful is for 300 years of just open-mindedness.
If you look at major cities also, the ones that have done very well, it's a good melting pot of different cultures and races as well. You mentioned so many things that from where the entire market is headed, different sectors, residential, condo, how the BPO sector is doing, also how Pogo's starting to also inch up. If you would leave final words to people, basing it on all of the data that you've seen, and I'm seeing a very, very optimistic tone from this entire conversation. What would you want to convey to people, and any inspiring words that you want to end this by as well?
We all have to keep our feet to the ground. Meaning we have to remember fundamentals. Don't take too much debt. Don't be too aggressive. Have a mix of risky assets if you want, but better go prime and buy as much prime assets as you can. Okay? I always say that I'd rather be the lousiest house in a good neighborhood than the best house in a lousy neighborhood. Okay? Fundamentally, we have to remind ourselves of the things that really work, devoid of our delusions and fantasies of what we want to happen. Now, as optimistic or bullish or delusional as I sound, ever since in all these talks that I give, I want to assure you that I am fully aware of the problems of this country. So I'm not blind to them. I'm fully aware of them. I embrace them as our responsibility to fix as society. So be inspired by the fact that the Philippines will be one of the one of the best performing economies in the next 50 years because we are moving from $3,700 per capita income to 4,200 in just 30 months. You know, 20 years ago, the per capita income of the Philippines was $1,500 per capita. Today, it's double that. And what does that mean? It means that Forbes Park houses went from 50 million pesos 20 years ago, 50 million pesos for a Forbes Park house, to now 1.2 billion pesos. Okay, but it's not just Forbes Park. You look at Cavite, you look at Ilocos, you look at Samar, you look at Cebu, you look at Iloilo, and the transformation, the massive transformation of these geographies in just 20 years. Imagine what that's going to be like in the next 10, 15, 20 years, right? How much more wealth is going to be created in this country in the next 3 years alone, 5 years alone, 7 years alone? And you should have a ride. You should ride that wave. And not everything is perfect, but we have to focus on what is good and what is beautiful and what is opportunity, instead of just constantly digging and picking on our weaknesses and our threats. And that entails a massive mindset. That mindset you cannot bring to investing, because, you know, just like if you had that mindset, why would you even bother buying stocks? Why would you even bother buying real estate when everyone's a crook and everyone's trying to fleece you, and you don't trust the publicly listed companies and you don't trust the board members of these publicly listed companies? Why would you even buy and invest? Why bother? So be inspired by the fact that the next 20 years will be awesome for the Philippines, and you want to be for that ride.
Well said, David. No, every time I talk to you, I feel more bullish every time. You're one of the most optimistic and bullish persons that people could meet. No, parang if I feel that it's a bit down, I just talk to you and then I feel, oh, it's gonna be okay again. So thank you so much, David, for your insights. And for those who want to know more about them, check out the links below for Leechiu Property Consultants. And that's it. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon. God bless you all.